Hello, this is Charlene. We are going to do part B of our projectile word problem about the toy rocket. If you notice, it says part B there. There was a part A and there's going to be a part C, so just check below this video for the links to the other parts. Okay, the toy rocket is being launched vertically upward, starts from the ground, it has a velocity, and it is given by the equation h of t is equal to negative 16t squared plus 128t. Okay, so our next question says, after how many seconds will the rocket be 112 feet above the ground? Well, what does it mean by 112 feet above the ground? Well, that's talking about the height. How high is it? Oop, I can't spell height. Here we go. There we go, height. Okay. So they're asking us for how many seconds it will take to get to that height. Well, if you remember from the first video, if you watch that, we had this parabola. There's our parabola, and there's a rocket. It's going up. It's starting right here at 0, and it's coming down and hitting the ground at 8 seconds. And we talked about the fact that this is the y-axis, and that the y-axis is synonymous with this h of t. It says h of t is equal to that. Well, h of t is synonymous with y. So that means the height, the h function is the height function. So that means the height numbers will be on the y-axis. So they want to know how high. So they want us to find some number over here when it is going to be at a height of 112. They want us to figure out, is 112 at the top of it? Or is 112 somewhere else down here? We're going to figure that out. Well, if we have that the height is 112, that means this height function right there is literally 112, or the y is going to be 112. So that's how we're going to set up our quadratic. We're going to say 112, which is the height, the feet above the ground, is equal to our function. Okay. And our equation. Okay, so here we go. At that point, just to make our lives easier, we like to get everything on one side of the equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and move the 112 over here. I'm going to do minus 112, and that is going to give me 0 is equal to that. Now, for the purposes of my calculations, and I don't want to take up room, I'm not going to write the 0, but I am going to just write negative 16t squared plus 128t minus 112. Okay, again, we always want to consider, is there something that will make my life easier? So I want to see, is there something that I can pull out of the negative 16, the 128, and the 112? Well, let's see if 16 will fit into 128 and 112. So in our calculator, I'm going to do 112 divided by the 16. And indeed it does fit. And of course from part A, we had already checked to see that 128 was also divisible by 16. So we can go ahead and take the negative 16 out. So negative, oops, I need a different color here. Okay, so I'm going to take out negative 16, and that is going to leave me with t squared plus 8t. When I'm pulling out a negative, it's going to change all my signs. So don't forget to do that. This is going to change to a negative. So it's going to be a negative 8t and a positive 7. Positive 7 goes right there. Okay, so at this point, to find solutions, we don't need the negative 16 anymore. To find solutions, we only need to continue to factor this. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's find factor pairs of 7. Okay, so factor pairs of 7 is 1 times 7. Can I add or subtract that 1 and 7 and get that middle 8? Yes, I can. So I'm going to go ahead and factor it like this. The t goes there in the front in both of those. Then my 1 and my 7 goes here and here. In order to get that negative 8, I need to do negative and negative. Both of those, negative 1 minus 7 will give me negative 8. Okay, so at that point, we need to recognize those are my factors. These two expressions are being multiplied. If we multiply them back together, they would give us back our original quadratic up here. So now that we've got our factors, To continue finding our solutions, we'll do the zero product rule. So that means that I am going to say t minus 1 equals 0, and t minus 7 equals 0. And if we use order of operations, we see that t is equal to 1 and t is equal to 7. So that means that I can mark as one of the solutions 1 and a 7. And that means that right up here, about right there, according to my inaccurate drawing, is going to be where 112 is. 112 feet is going to be right there. So let me get rid of my guesswork up there. 112, that can go away. Those can all go away. Okay, so 112 right there. And then at 7 seconds, again, right up here, la, 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 about right there, that is where it's going to be at 112 feet. It's going to be at 1 second, 1 second, and at 7 seconds. So it will be, this rocket, this toy rocket will be at 112 feet on the way up, and then when it comes back down, it will also be at 112 feet on the way back down. It will be at 112 feet high at 1 second and at 7 seconds. So those are our two answers for this question. How many seconds will the rocket be at 112 feet above the ground? It will be 112 feet above the ground at 1 second, and it will be above the ground at 7 seconds before it comes all the way back down to the ground. So hopefully that helps you think about that little process of this projectile word problem. Click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, and come back real soon.